Welcome to Effective Change. It begins with you. Here's another article for you titled, I Created a Protector to Replace the Father Who Neglected Me. This article is by Eden Dawson. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and ring the bell. I created a protector to replace the father who neglected me. I had to protect myself because no one else would. I've been ghosted since I was young by several people: family, friends, colleagues, love interests, and so-called admirers. I'm not sure what is so undesirable about me. Maybe I was cursed as a child. Maybe I'm meant to live a hard life. Maybe I'm being tested by God. Through it all, pride was by my side. Pride is my protector. When I need pride to be female, they are female. When I need pride to be male, they are male. When I need pride to be a parent, they are a parent. When I need pride to be a peer, they are a peer. Pride first came to me when I was 3 years old. They saw how lonely I was when I was alone with others. They saw how desperately I wanted my dad to love me. Throughout childhood, I was convinced my dad hated me. Whenever he looked at me, I felt hatred pouring from his eyes. I didn't know what I did to deserve such emotion. When my brother came along, I saw love in his eyes. I thought he hated me because I wasn't a boy. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't make myself a boy. I didn't know how to act like a boy, and I was afraid to ask him to show me how to be a boy so he would love me too. Dad was there physically and gone emotionally. He rarely smiled or laughed in my presence. Sometimes he didn't even look at me. Pride told me to accept his judgment and not dwell on his attitude because he was damaged and did not want to heal. So I poured my love into the relatives that raised me. But it wasn't enough because I went home to Dad at the end of the day and was reminded that my brother was more of a priority. Mom was non-existent in my memories before age 10. She was always working, but it didn't bother me. I considered her my favorite parent because dealing with her absence was more bearable than my dad's attitude. Pride told me that sometimes a parent being absent is a blessing. I believed it so much that I prayed to God several times to have Dad abandon us, like his last two families. Pride said that wasn't fair to my brother, since Dad at least put effort into his care. My brother needed his father even if I didn't want one anymore. I told Pride I was enough for my brother, but they said I could never fill the role of a father. I cried, but eventually I took my prayer back. Pride only let me release my tears in solitude. They would sit in the corner as I cried to whomever spirits cared to listen. Sometimes they would cry with me. Other times, Pride would beat me. They smacked me in the face and called me weak in moments when I thought I was better off dead. They kneed me in my gut and yelled that I was not allowed to be weak. They said they did it to save me. I had to stay alive and prove I was worth something more than a pitiful lump of flesh. I accepted their words and actions. Pride would hug me and say, "Never let them see you cry." Does that sound crazy? Perhaps, but during those moments when I had no one, I needed Pride to keep me from suicide. Pride collaborated with my brain to repress my rape. They lied to me and made me believe it didn't happen. Pride said it was all in my imagination, and I wasn't scared of men. I was just shy. I'm not shy, but I listened because I desperately wanted to believe it was all in my imagination. Pride covered my eyes and shut down my emotions in the moments I was molested from age 7 through 14. They wouldn't let me move until I believed that everything was fine. I did as they asked. When they allowed me to move, I went into the bathroom. It was my safe space. Yet I avoided water like the plague. I didn't understand what was wrong with me. When I asked Pride, they said nothing was wrong, but I knew they were lying. Pride was always lying, but they did it so I could survive. They wanted me to keep going, even though I was falling apart. After those painful moments, Pride would hold me. Their sweet words made me laugh and cry. Despite their lies, I loved them. So I listened to the lies they fed me. I was in a state of limbo for the rest of my teen years. It was far from living, but it wasn't death. In my 20s, the buried truth rose from the dead and invaded my dreams. Over and over it played, the scene where I lost my innocence at 5 years old, in the bed where I should have felt safe, deep in the darkness. I can't remember if that was the only time. I can't remember who did it because I don't know who did it. I was barely awake, but my body could feel everything. It was an older man, a heavy man, so heavy I almost couldn't breathe. It happened, but for years, pride in my brain told me it was all my imagination. I yelled, hit, and kicked Pride. I'd buried myself in my room and didn't come out for several weeks except to go to the bathroom. I felt so dirty I wanted to rip my skin off, and no one noticed, except Pride. I remember why I stayed silent. I didn't think anyone would believe me or care. No one ever listened or let me talk. So why would they listen if I said I was afraid of men because a man I couldn't see hurt me while I was half asleep? Where was the evidence? There was none when I awoke. Everything was normal, except how my body felt. And no one noticed that something was wrong, except Pride. While it was obvious I didn't want to be around men, no one questioned my behavior. They just thought I was shy. I absolutely hate the word shy. But it wouldn't have mattered. Who wants to believe that a relative raped a child? No one. I cried for hours and kept the revelation to myself. Pride stayed with me the whole time. Because I felt dirty and unworthy of love in my 20s, I let men use me as long as they didn't penetrate me. Then I fell in love for the first time, or so I thought. Pride called me stupid, pointing out the various red flags. I didn't listen. I decided I couldn't trust Pride because they lie. But I lie too. I buried the truth of my trauma in a box and acted like it did not exist. I transformed myself into the girl I felt I should be, someone pure. I decided I would be the best person I could for the man I believed I loved, and I was never going to look back at the past or rely on Pride to get through the present. I was 22 years old. I did everything by the book, but it wasn't enough, and after 6 months, he dumped me. Pride slapped me and then held me tight. Stupid girl. I told you not to let them see you cry. It wasn't until later that I found out that I was never the man's girlfriend, but instead his side chick, which is why my efforts were worthless. My ex returned around the holidays, claiming to be single. He said he missed me. I let him take me out on a date. We had a great time. We kissed and he touched me, but through that touch I remembered how he had lied about our relationship. I stopped him and asked if he wanted to get back together or be friends with benefits. He chose the latter. So I told him to take me home. I deleted his number and stopped talking to him. For 2 weeks I spent Christmas and New Year's in bed. No one noticed, except Pride. Despite my best efforts, no one wanted me for anything more than sex. Some people taught me that love was shown through sex, and I believed it, despite how much those words hurt. I tried to turn pain into pleasure. I tried to please. But there was only more pain in the end. So much pain I couldn't breathe. The pain was too much, and eventually, I didn't care about my health or if something happened to me. I no longer saw the value in caring about my tainted self. But Pride saw value in me. Pride was the only one who asked me to stay alive. I asked Pride once if they were an angel. They smirked, but never replied. I've been ghosted since I was young by several people. Family, friends, colleagues, love interest, and so-called admirers. I'm not sure what is so undesirable about me. Maybe I was cursed as a child. Maybe I am meant to live a hard life. Maybe I'm being tested like Job. Throughout it all, pride stayed by my side. Sometimes we question whether God brought us together, exist, or if we only take comfort in Him because we desperately want someone's attention. God doesn't say much, but some moments are so overwhelmingly good that they can be nothing but divine blessings. For that, we choose to believe. It's been a bumpy road with ups and downs, sharp turns and cliffs. I'm not yet whole, and sometimes interactions with people make me doubt my worthiness. But I'm still here, and I believe that means something. So I'm committing to getting better and growing, and hopefully, one day, I won't need pride to be my protector.